Hello everybody, welcome back to my movie review series. Today we'll be discussing Dig. I think there's a couple of movies, maybe called The Dig or Dig, but this is we'll do the typical thing, overall impression / grade. And that if you have not seen the movie and would like to, or watch the movie or not watch the movie based on my recommendation or not recommendation, you're going to turn off the movie then. There'll be a plot synopsis and character development, similar movies and major themes, no. So this is the 2022 Dig rated R for it doesn't have the runtime on it, but it was like an hour and a half. So we got initial release September 23, 2022, director K. Asher Levin. And so the thing it says is, held hostage by a dangerous couple, a widower and his daughter must work together to outsmart their captors and survive the night. Got a whopping 23% on Rotten Tomatoes, 58% liked it on Google, and 4.2 out of 10 on IMDb. Just another one I watched on Hulu, currently hosted there, but just looking for some more content to come up with. But this one I thought I could have, like the trailer, because like when you watch Hulu, you get Hulu ads, so I saw the trailer for this one when I was watching another show. But I was wondering this could maybe be something different. You know, still like a thriller action, but like less of a just direct crime thing. So I just wanted to see maybe this could come out to something. Obviously, the other rating systems weren't too hot on this one. I thought the plot could maybe become something. I thought the characterizations were really off-putting. The plot wasn't bad. It wasn't super unique. Again, from the trailer, I thought there might be some sort of novelty or something a little more interesting. So the plot was very, very dull. The characterizations were pretty off-putting. The criminals are not very, just their characterizations I just didn't think was good. And for an hour and a half movie, which is rather short for movies, I was pausing a lot to see like how much longer. So I thought the plot development was slow, especially for an hour and a half. The characterizations were pretty off-putting, and I thought the plot was just not anything interesting. So I'm gonna give it a C-. It was not. I'm not a big. Again, I say anything over a D is a recommendation. That's just more of if you're looking for something to throw on, but I would find something else besides Dig. So if you've not seen it and would like to, we'll shut off the video now. There will be spoiler alerts. So the movie opens up. You have Scott Brennan and his wife going to pick up their daughter Jane Brennan from a rich kid's birthday party or something. And so it seems like Jane Brennan and Scott Brennan have a rather strange or tense relationship. Scott finds her at the house, and they go back and forth about her kissing this boy, gets her in the car anyway, and then they start driving away. They get cut off by this white truck, and it just flies past them. So they have to stop and get some gas, and when they stop to get the gas, the white truck that sped past them is also at the gas station. So Scott gets out, he's not too confrontational, and then the other guy's like, you got a problem? And Scott makes some comments, and then the other guy pulls a gun, and then they struggle a little bit, and then both Jane, the daughter who's 17 or 16 at the time, and the mom are also outside the car, and when they're struggling for the gun goes off and kills the mother. And so, right when that happens, it's like the bang, I'm assuming they're just doing the bang of the gun or the screaming or something, but after that you just have it's not really a flash forward scene, but just the next scene is about a year later, and Jane is now deaf. She's learning sign language. Scott's kind of bad at it, and her hearing is like 5% in one ear and 3% in the other ear. And so she can't hear anymore, and Scott picks her up from the hospital. And so from there, Scott gets approached. He looks like a handyman, like a contractor. He gets approached by this guy named Victor. His girlfriend Lola's in the parking lot. Basically offers him $30,000 to strip down this old abandoned house and to not damage the walls. And so Victor wants to go on a fishing trip and just skip out on the job. But then Victor offers him $30,000, which just happens to be the exact price for a cochlear ear implant. So maybe get Jane's hearing better. And also she's like selectively mute. I don't know if it's just because her hearing, she doesn't like the sound of her voice, which again, most people who can't sing don't like the sound of their own voice. but it's not clear as to why she's not speaking. I don't know if she's just being defiant. I think the doctor said anxiety or stress or something, but not convincing medically. Regardless, that's what's going on. So he accepts the job, and him and his employee, who I don't even know, I forget his name, but the cast list was very short. But I think it was Pedro, maybe. Regardless, there was one other dude named Pedro or something, but his employee, and they go out to start working on this house. So they're tearing it all down. They're about finished, and then Jane starts bashing the wall, demoing the house, and they were not supposed to touch the walls. And so that's a bad thing. And then behind the wall, they find a bunch of cash. And so, I don't know, $30,000-$50,000 in cash. And so the employees, we'll just call him Pedro, I forget if that's his actual name, but he's like, this is a stash house, we need to call the cops. And then Scott's like, no, I'll call them once we get into town. And it's not clear as to why. Again, very weak plot development as to why you want to just call them then. But he goes back into town to get some plaster, and I think it's because Victor knows who he is, or the client. So the way Victor sets it up is like he's got this client to come help him, and then we'll get to later on. But he fails to call 911 in the parking lot. He considers it, and then drives back to this house. Now it's nighttime. He's wondering why everyone's so quiet. And at that point, Victor and Lola are wearing masks and holding Jane and the employee hostage. And so now that we're getting a lot of drawn out, just Victor talking was again off-putting. His characterization was off-putting, so was Lola. But you have one initial scene with Victor and Lola where they got some dude in the bathtub and they just kill him in the bathtub, and Lola's sad because she didn't get to do it. Stuff like that. But now they're holding them hostage, and I'm not exactly sure. Well, so the whole thing was the setup, yeah, because they just wanted them to bring the tools because they need to dig something up from under this concrete slab. You don't really learn what's under there until later on in the movie. But regardless, the employee, Scott's employee, tries to run. Lola immediately kills him. So you got that body, and then they camp out for a night. There's a lot of drawn out dialogue to me, but they camp out for the night, and in the morning they're gonna start digging because it gets past curfew and they can't do it at night. And so that goes on. They wake up the next morning. They start digging. They start preparing. And then this other guy shows up, and he's just like your utility lines to mark lines, so where you can't dig to bust a pipe or something. And so I think that's the next scene. Doesn't matter. But regardless, that guy, he's tiptoeing around. He has to go in the house a little bit. Lola's standing right there in the doorway, and Scott's like, you should. So what happens if there's criminals around here? Should you call 911? And he's like on a microphone or like a cell phone or a walkie-talkie type deal, so Victor can hear him. There's this main house that's like abandoned, rusted old thing, and then this little trailer that they brought with them. And so Victor's got Jane held hostage in the trailer, and the utility DI ends up just not seeing the criminals and just leaving and going away. So now they start digging. So Lola and Victor start getting freaky in the trailer, and Scott and Jane run away. And so they get away kind of, and it's now nighttime once again. They dig a good amount of the way, but then there was a chance, and then they run away. So now they've seen that they're just going to kill him right after, because Victor. So originally they're wearing masks, and then Scott recognizes the voice, so they just take the masks off. And at this point, it's just like they're going to kill the witnesses. And so he's going. They run away, and they find this road, and then they're waving down a car, and it's Victor and Lola again. So they get picked back up, taken back. So another night passes, and the next day they're going to finish digging. And so that happens. There's a couple maybe little tussle things that beat him up a little bit for trying to run away. And they just keep constantly going back and forth. We just kill him, and then Scott, is like, I'm the contractor. You guys won't be able to navigate the concrete very well or dig the thing very well. And so they start digging once again. And then this is at this point kind of learn what happened. So it's like Victor and Lola. Victor had killed his brother, and Lola had been a prostitute or something. Like, it's not extremely clear as to why there's money in the walls. It's not like a drug house. I think it was like prostitution. But Lola had told Victor his brother was going to kill him or something, and so Victor killed him and her. So he took her out. And then Lola explains to him that she was having sex with both his brother and his dad had put a hit out on Victor. So it's like real quick, but it was like you kind of realize that's what's happening, and then the thing they're digging up is Victor's brother's body. And so, again, super, again, I thought there would be maybe some other interesting development as to what they're digging up, and it's just a body. It's just like, okay. So, how many times have we seen this movie? And so that happens. And again, they start like kissing in the car, and then Scott and Jane run away again. And so they get caught again. And so at this point, when they first get to this house, there was a squatter guy, which I just called, he didn't have a character name, but I just had McCona David. And so just a squatter who stole a car and is sitting in this house because he had to get away from his hometown. And he had given Jane this little like switchblade knife as a like necklace ornament thing. So very clear premonitions what's going to happen with that. But he comes back, he walks into the house, sees the bodies, and starts screaming, "Is everybody okay?" And then of course he gets picked up, and then Lola and Victor are like, "Does anybody know where you are?" And he's like, "No, nobody at all knows where I'm at." And then they're like, "So you're really sure nobody knows where you're at?" He's like, "Oh no." And they instantly kill him. So it's just like, that was weak, super weak plot development. But regardless, so now they're finishing up, and then they realize they're going to get killed. But basically, Lola and Jane get into a Russell tussle, and Lola uses a little switchblade knife ornament thing and cuts Lola's neck. So Lola's bleeding out, and they start running away again. Victor chases them down. They get into a tussle, and like they're fighting outside the car. Jane is in the car. They go back and forth a little bit. And again, because Jane hasn't spoken since the accident. And so right at the right moment, she hops into the driver's seat, puts the car in gear, and yells, "Dad!" And it's like, oh, she spoke. And then he jumps out of the way, and she squishes him with the car. So now Victor is dead as well. And so that's that. The trauma's now over. Scott and Jane have rebonded since, again, they both kind of blame each other. Or Jane has seen Scott say that he blames her for the death of the mother on like the first night when they were camping out, but now they're learning to forgive each other and accept each other, and they're driving away, and Jane has now said some words, and they have the $30,000 for the cochlear implant. So that's the whole movie. Yeah, I thought it was a drag for real. So overall C-. Yeah, I wouldn't call it super off-putting, but it could have been one or two more scenes away from off-putting. But like overall. And so not a super high recommendation on this one, but thank you for watching my movie review of Dig. So see you on the next one.